Is Dermot Mulroney's Chief Dom Pascal leaving Chicago fire? Chief Dom Pascal, Dermot Mulroney, is feeling the heat on Chicago fire after being implicated in a deadly arson incident. The Chief's arrival in Season 13 has been anything but smooth, especially after the tragic death of his wife, Monica Katie Strickland. That horrible trauma came back to haunt Pascal after Firehouse 51 arrived at the scene of a blazing car crash. An engine explosion led to a fire and disastrous collision, and the victim stuck inside the inferno was none other than Robert Franklin, the driver in the accident that killed Monica Pascal. The firefighters were shocked to see Franklin again, and it wasn't lost on them how the incident would dredge up emotional turmoil for their chief. This guy is in 2 big crashes in less than 2 months. Crazy Stella Miranda Ray Mayo said. Alarm bells began ringing for 51's arson specialist, Severide Taylor Kinney. After discovering clear signs of arson at the scene, Severide realized that this was no accident. It was an attempted murder. As Severide got to the bottom of a suspicious arson, Chief Pascal found himself at the center of the investigation. Did Pascal get revenge against the man who killed his wife? Or was something even more sinister at play? Here's everything that happened during Chicago Fire Season 13, Episode 21. The Bad Guy Below. Soon after determining the accident was a setup, Severide visited Pascal to give him the update about Robert Franklin. Pascal shrugged it off, viewing Robert as a danger behind the wheel. But once Severide clarified that OFI was investigating the incident, Pascal realized the severity of the situation. Pascal explained he was home alone the night before the accident and had nothing to do with Franklin's crash. But without an alibi to confirm that, Pascal remained the primary suspect. While Severide trusted Pascal was being truthful, he needed proof. As Severide and OFI Chief Van Meter dug into the forensics of Franklin's accident, they discovered evidence that confirmed the perpetrator was a firefighter. Another strike against Pascal. After giving Stella the latest update, they couldn't deny how bad the situation looked. Severide said it certainly looked like Pascal rigged the explosion, which either meant Pascal was the culprit or someone wanted it to look like he was. Was Pascal being set up? Severide was aware that Pascal had a few enemies from his past, but who would go so far as to frame the chief for murder. Severide was told to look into Pascal's shady dealings in Miami. Meanwhile, Pascal visited Franklin in the hospital and learned he was still doing poorly. Pascal then visited Chief Christopher Herman, David Egenberg, and told him that Firehouse 51 may need him to step up to plate sooner than they thought. Severide's investigation soon unveiled Pascal's past in Miami, when he worked under Chief Hendricks, a devious gangster connected to the mob. After learning his chief was dirty, Pascal had been collecting evidence against Hendricks. Monica soon discovered her husband had gotten entangled in Hendricks' mess. Fearful that Hendricks or his mobsters would come after her for knowing about Pascal's investigation, Monica left Miami. Hendricks was picked up by the feds a few months later, and Pascal followed Monica to Chicago to repair their marriage. Pascal still looked guilty, but if someone could corroborate he was trying to get Hendricks arrested, he'd be able to argue his innocence. It's possible someone connected to Hendricks was setting Pascal up for Franklin's murder. Monica was the only one who knew about Miami. With her gone, Pascal racked his head for options. The one person who could maybe help Pascal was Lieutenant Stephen Vale, who had tried to romance Monica after she fled from Miami. Soon, Severide confirmed Monica had mentioned to Vale that Pascal was working a case against Hendricks. No one had ever denied Pascal's credibility, including Vale. Before Severide could make further headway proving Pascal's innocence, he caught wind that OFI was at Firehouse 51. The CPD arrested Pascal, much to the shock of his 51 family. What's going to happen to Pascal? Who could have jumped through these hoops to ensure his downfall? And most importantly, will Severide uncover the truth before Pascal's time runs out? The wind whipped fiercely through the streets of Chicago, slamming into the bay doors of Firehouse 51. Inside, the usual clamor had dulled to a hush. All eyes turned toward the figure striding in through the haze of morning steam, his boots clacking on the concrete like a judge's gavel. He wore the crisp blues of a fire chief, but there was a worn edge to the leather folder tucked under his arm, scuffed, weathered. Like him. "Ladies and gentlemen," Bowden began, his voice taut. "This is Chief Dominic Pascal. He's transferring in from the 17th District. Temporary command. Let's give him our respect and attention." The new chief offered a nod, scanning the room like he was collecting data for a silent report. "I'm not here to rearrange your furniture," he said, his voice low and calm, tinged with the rough cadence of a man who had seen too many fires and lost too many friends. "You've got a solid crew. Your record speaks for itself. But I'm not a tourist. I'm here to lead." Kelly Severide exchanged a glance with Stella Kidd. Something in Dom Pascal's tone wasn't just commanding, it was haunted. There was history in those eyes. He wasn't some clipboard-carrying bureaucrat. No, this was a man who'd pulled bodies from the wreckage and still remembered their names. "Chief Pascal," Herman said, trying to break the ice with a little charm. "You'll find we've got good coffee and bad jokes." "I'll take mine black," Pascal replied, his mouth twitching into the briefest smile. "And I've heard worse jokes in backdrafts." The moment lightened, just slightly. But the tension still simmered, unspoken. Later, in Bowden's office, Chief Pascal stood staring out the window at the city skyline, his shoulders tense beneath his uniform. "I appreciate the welcome," he said, "but I'm not here for ceremonial duty." Bowden folded his arms. "Then why are you here, Chief?" Pascal turned, his eyes sharp. "I lost a lieutenant. 2 weeks ago. Warehouse fire off 59th. Something wasn't right. The collapse pattern didn't match the initial reports. And now the reports are gone." Bowden's brows furrowed. "You think someone tampered with the files?" "I think there's a pattern. Quiet inspections, shut doors, and 2 arsons that were ruled accidental within hours." Bowden leaned forward. "You're here undercover. Let's just say I'm following the smoke." By the second week, the crew began to see cracks in Pascal's armor and glimpses of the man underneath. He never raised his voice, but when he spoke, even Severide listened. He knew fire like a second language. He could walk through a charred building and read its story. Where the blaze started, how it moved, what secrets it tried to bury. One night, a call came in. A 3-alarm inferno on the west side. Old tenement building. Lives inside. Pascal didn't hesitate. He was in the truck before anyone could argue, suiting up like he hadn't spent the last 5 years behind a desk. At the scene, he moved like instinct, issuing commands with surgical precision. Inside the building, he found a boy trapped in a smoke-choked stairwell. He didn't flinch, just lifted the child over his shoulder and guided his crew through a collapsing hallway like Moses parting the Red Sea. Back at 51, paramedics treated his smoke inhalation. Mouch handed him a water bottle. "Thought you were supposed to be temporary command," he joked. Pascal coughed, waving off the oxygen mask. Fire doesn't care about paperwork. The crew began to warm to him. Ritter caught him helping clean the rigs after hours. Kid spotted him in the lounge one night, staring too long at the memorial wall. "Who'd you lose?" she asked gently. Pascal didn't look up. "Her name was Jo, my wife. Paramedic. 12 years on the job. Wrong place, wrong time. Kid's heart sank. I'm sorry. He nodded. Me too. 1 week later, Pascal's suspicions ignited into full flame. Severide had pulled inspection reports from a warehouse where another suspicious blaze had taken place, identical to the one where Pascal lost his lieutenant. Both buildings had been flagged safe by the same private contractor. Both files had similar omissions, missing timestamps, photos doctored, and the same name at the bottom. Ever heard of Victor Traynor? Pascal asked Bowden, slamming the file on his desk. Developer. Owns half of River South. And he's laundering it clean by torching old properties with people still inside. And someone on the inside is covering it up. Bowden's eyes narrowed. You have proof. Not yet, but I'm about to.